Okay, hello everybody. We are here to continue the class on governor. Last class I told you about introduce you the governor, the dual role, and the type of role that is exercised by the governor. He is the constitutional head of the country, of the state, and also the agent of the center or representative of the center. So he has lots to perform in the state. And I told you also Article 153 says there shall be a governor in each state. So let me just start with that article. There shall be a governor. There shall be a governor in each state. That was a constitutional provision. That means a state must have a governor. But by 7th Amendment Act, 7th Constitutional Amendment Act 1956, it provided that a person can be appointed as the governor of two or more states simultaneously. He can be appointed as the governor of two or more states simultaneously. It means he can take charge of several states at the same time. But one interesting fact about this is that whenever a person is appointed as the governor of two or more states, his salary remains the same. That means it is not doubled or tripled. And the share of each state is determined by the president. So in this case, circumstances, in this case, the salary of the governor is shared between or among the states as decided by the president. So kindly take a note of this, that whenever a person is appointed as the governor of several states, its salary remains constant, but his salary is shared among or between the states as determined by the president. Is that clear? Okay. So that is also a thing to remember. 7th Amendment 1956 is the amendment that made the changes in the amendment. Okay, so it amended Article 153. Next is the appointment of governor. Appointment of the governor, it is Article 155 of the Constitution. 155 of the Constitution. There was a debate in the Constituent Assembly for providing direct election to the governor or election to the governors. But as you know, direct election or election to the office of the governor might be incompatible with the parliamentary system. Because like the President of India, Governor is also a nominal head, a constitutional authority or a titular head of the state. He doesn't have any active power to functions or any, it's not the real authority. The real executive power of the state government is vested in the Council of Ministers headed by the Chief Minister. But here the governor is also like the nominal head, is the titular head, hence providing direct election or indirect election for the governor would be incompatible with the parliamentary system of government. And another thing, that the direct election would create unnecessary conflict between the Chief Minister of the state, who is virtually the ruler or virtually the sovereign ruler of the state in accordance with the parliamentary system, and governor being a nominal head, there is no need to provide an expensive election for his office. So there are various various reasons for that, and an elected government would naturally belong to a political party and would not be a natural person and an impartial person. So he would also be acting as partisan in the line, in the same way the Chief Minister plays. So governor needs to be an impartial and a neutral head in the of the state. So if he is elected, then it would not serve the purpose. Thereby, in the Constituent Assembly, the election procedure or other election of the governor or any other things like that, like similar way, was avoided, and the Assembly later decided that that he should be appointed by the President. So that is the things. He is appointed by the President President on the advice of the Prime Minister. So these are the major things about major things about the appointment of the governor. He should be advised, and he also consults the Chief Minister of the state, but that is not provided. So we shall first discuss the qualification of the governor. Qualifications of the governor. There are two constitutional qualifications of the governor. One is he should be a citizen of India. And number two, should have completed 35 years. 35 years. Should have completed 35 years. So these are the basic two major qualifications that are provided in the Constitution. But apart from that, there are also two certain other qualifications, other conditions have been added. Conventions, you can say conventions, conventional qualifications or conventions, parliamentary conventions have been developed over the time on the basis of recommendation of various commissions like Sarkaria commissions and others also. So convention number one is that he should be an outsider to the state. Governor should not be a person a resident or a person residing in the state or doesn't belong to the state, that will establish or make his office impartial and neutral also. Number 2, CM should be consulted. CM should be consulted while by the president while appointing a person as the governor. So kindly take a note of this. Okay. So these are the qualifications of the governor, and it is provided in Article 157 of the Constitution. 157 of the Constitution contains the qualification of the governor, and that is their qualification for the appointment of the governor. Okay. Now the appointment is gone, then we shall discuss the term of the governor. That is Article 156. Remember, governor holds office during the pleasure of the president. He doesn't have a term exactly. He doesn't have a fixed term because he holds office during the pleasure of the president. So his term is somewhat not fixed, we can say. He can he will survive in the office until he is under the pleasure of the president. But usually governor stays 5 years. His term is 5 years. You can say usually he stays in office for 5 years. And another thing, governor can serve beyond the 5-year term if his successor has not assumed the office. So he can extend beyond the time if the time permits, and he will continue. He will continue even after the completion of the term. Okay, that is the term of the office. Then oath is administered by Chief Justice of High Court, Chief Justice of the High Court, or any other judge, senior-most judge, if available, he can administer oath to the office of the governor. The governor takes oath by that time by the Chief Justice of India, and he takes the similar oath like the President of India. He will defend and protect the Constitution and so on and so on. Okay, that is the oath of the office of the governor. Then his removal. I talked about removal of the office, that he doesn't hold any. He doesn't hold security of tenure. Rather, he holds office during the pleasure of the president, and he can be removed by the president at any time without assigning any reason thereof. So there is no security to governor's office. Many commissions has also referred to this, and there are several commissions like your Rajmanar Committee and also the MM Punchi Commission, the second Central State Relation Commissions in India. Some commissions have recommended that governors should be given a security of tenure He should be removed by a resolution approved in the state legislature, but that has not been put into practice so far. Okay, so being the constitutional head, he is not secured. That is something looks like a vague or absurd conditions for the office of the governor. Even if he is the constitutional head, even if he is the highest authority, highest executive in the state, but his office is quite delicate and he can be thrown away by the center at any time without giving any reason. So you must have seen that that has been a very a major drawback of the gubernatorial office. Many governors are changed overnight with the change of the government at the center. We can take example of that in 1989 when VP Singh took power at the center. He asked all the governors to resign as they were appointed by the Congress government. Even the same thing was repeated by P.V. Narasimha Rao in 1991 when he changed 14 governors appointed during the tenure of VP Singh and Chandrasekhar governments. So that is also things, and the president may transfer a governor appointed to one state to another state for the rest of the term. Further, governor whose term has expired may be reappointed in the same post for any other terms. So assume the president can make such provisions as he thinks fit for the discharge of functions of the governor in any contingency not for the constitution. For example, the death of the sitting governor. Thus, the Chief Justice of the state concerned High Court may be appointed temporarily to discharge the function of the governor. So with regards to the term removal, other things, that is an executive action. So whenever the governor is removed, the Chief Justice of India shall be shall be sworn in as the governor of the state, and he may serve as the governor of the state for a temporary period. So that is a major drawback of the gubernatorial office. He doesn't hold security of tenure, or he is removed by the president or by the center without assigning any reason thereof. Okay, so that is also a thing to be remembered. And then the condition of the gubernatorial office, conditions. Conditions is put in 159 of the Constitution. Conditions of gubernatorial office. So that is conditions. This is probably Article 159, conditions of the governor's office. The first condition is that he should not be a member of parliament or state legislature If any such person, if any member is appointed as the governor, then his membership will automatically expire. So he should not hold any office of profit. He should not be a member of parliament or state legislature or any member of any local body. If any such member is appointed as governor, as soon as he takes over the charge of the governor, his membership expires automatically. There is no separate resignations also. Number two, he should not, he or she should not hold any office of profit Under the center and state governments, he should not hold any office of profit, and the parliament decides which office is an office of profit, but being a governor is not an office of profit. Okay. The number 3 is rent-free house, rent-free governor's house, rent-free quarters house, president governor's house. Is provided, maintained by the state. He is entitled to such honest privileges as determined by parliament. His salary, main salary, is determined by the number 4. His salaries and allowances are determined by the parliament. Okay, and number 5, salaries and allowances are charged upon the consolidated fund of India. Sorry, that is consolidated fund of the state or states, consolidated fund of the state or state of the state or states. So kindly take a note of this. Okay. So 159 is the condition of the office, is the condition of the office of the governor. 159. Sorry, it is 158, sorry, 158, and the oath or affirmation is 159, it is 158. Okay, now we shall come to the salaries is fixed at 3.5 lakh per month, and he draws the salary from the consolidated fund of India, of the state or states. And governor is not entitled to any post-retirement benefits like pension and other things. So there are certain matters which are need to be revisited or to be reconsidered if we think that, or if constitution really means that governor is the constitutional head of the state. Okay, now we shall discuss the salaries. I have told you rupees 3.5 lakh per month, and that is charged upon the consolidated fund of the state or states. Kindly take a note of this. Okay. Now we shall discuss the powers of the governor. Powers of the governor. We can divide the powers as executive power, executive powers, number 2 legislative powers, legislative powers, number 3 financial powers, financial powers, and number 4 judicial powers, judicial powers, and number 5 we can add also discretionary powers. So governor's powers can be divided into 4 classes, 4 categories. One is executive powers, another is legislative power, and then financial powers and judicial powers. So we shall first discuss the executive powers. Okay. Executive powers. Article 154 says that the executive power of the shall be carried on in the name of the governor. All the executive actions, all the executive powers of the governor of the state government shall be vested in the governor. The government of the state is run in the name of the governor. So we can say that all executive powers, all executive actions, by all executive actions of the activities or actions of the state government or of the government of a state are formally carried out in his name. Although the Council of Ministers headed by the Chief Minister runs the government, but all the actions are finally run in the name of the governor. That is a most important part of the executive powers. Number 2, he can make rules and regulations for convenient transaction of the business of the state government. Kindly take a notice. So these are the 2 major powers, executive powers. Now shall we come to the third executive powers of the governor. Number 3, he can make rules. He can make rules for convenient or for specifying the manner in which the orders and other instruments made and executed in his name shall be authenticated. She makes rules for specifying the manner in which the orders and other instruments made or executed in his name shall be authenticated. He will make the things known to them. Number 4, he makes major appointments he appoints the chief minister of the state and in his name on his advice, means CM's advice, the governor appoints others. Okay, kindly take the note of the following. So we have seen that the governor appoints the chief minister, but one thing I would like to share also that appointment of the chief minister by the state governor is a discretionary and non-discretionary power. It is a non-discretionary because any state chief minister is appointed after the largest majority party in the Vidhan Sabha elects its leader, and that leader is invited by the governor to form the government. So that at that time the appointment of the governor is not discretionary, of the chief minister by the governor is not discretionary. But whenever there is a single government, there is no single party secures the majority, or there is no other alternative, there is a hung assembly, then the governor appoints or invites the largest majority party to be sworn in as the CM, or he may invite any other party to form the government and ask them to prove the majority. So that kind of thing is also a gubernatorial discretion which must not be ignored also. Okay, so we shall see what are the major appointments made by the a governor on the advice of the CM, on the advice of CM. Number one, the ministers in the state government are appointed by governor. Number two, a tribal welfare minister, a tribal welfare minister a tribal welfare minister in the states of Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand and Odisha. So it is a constitutional compulsion on the governor to ensure that such states like Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand must have a tribal welfare ministers. Considering the size of tribal population in these states, the constitution provides for the appointment of a tribal welfare ministers, and that these are only exclusive to these 4 states. Number 3, Advocate General of the state, Advocate General. Number 4, State Election Commissioner, State Election Commission. Number 5, Chairperson and members of State Public Service Commission, Number 6, of State Human Rights Commission, State Human Rights Commission. Number 7, of State Information Commission. The governor also makes these major appointments in the state. And number 9, 8, also the Vice Chancellor of universities, run by the state. So kindly take a note of this. So you must have seen a lot of appointment is done by the governor in the state, and all the ministers, all the important dignitaries, he appoints Advocate General, State Election Commissioners, and also the members of State Public Service Commission, and in case of State Human Rights Commissions also, and Central Information Commission. So that is the things. One important thing is that although the members of State Public Service Commission are appointed by the governor, the members and chairperson of the State Public Service Commission and also the State Election Commissioners, they are appointed by the governor, but they are to be removed. They will be removed by the president. They will be removed by the president. In fact, they are removed by the president, not by the governor. That is a point to be remembered also. Okay. Now another thing that he may seek information. He may seek information. He may seek information relating to the administration of of the state, administration of the affairs of the state, administration of the state from the chief ministers, from the appointment of the from the CM. Also, he can ask the chief minister to furnish any such information that are required by him, and if any matter not considered by the Council of Ministers but presented before him for his approval, then he may ask the chief minister to present the matter before the Council of Ministers for its consideration. In this way, he ensures fair and better governments. And he acts as the chancellor of all the state universities. He acts as the chancellor of all the state universities and appoints the vice chancellor of the universities also. Okay. So there has been the executive power of the governor is also as vast as the president of the country. He enjoys substantial executive powers. Is that clear? So that is the thing about the executive powers. Now we shall move to the legislative powers. So like the chief minister, like the president is a part of the parliament, so also the governor is also the part of the state legislature. If you talk about a unicameral legislature, then it comprises of not only the Vidhan Sabha but also the governor of the state. And if you talk about the bicameral legislature, it will consist of not only Vidhan Sabha and Vidhan Parishad but also the governor. So the president is a part of the parliament, the governor is a part of the state legislature. It means it is a cardinal principle of parliamentary democracy. that the head of the state or constitutional head is also a part of the legislature. But remember, governor is not a member of the state legislature, nor does he sit in the legislature. He is not a member, or he doesn't have the right to sit and take part in the debate also. Then why governor is said to be an integral part of the state legislature? It is because the bill approved by the state legislature becomes an act only when the governor assents the bill or assents it. So gubernatorial assent or governor's assent is essential for a bill becoming an act. Hence it is called an integral part. Governor is an integral part of the state legislature. The integral part of the state legislature. Okay? So it is an integral part of the state legislature, because without its association, without its involvement, no bill can become an act. Okay? Then he or she summons and prorogues the sessions in the state legislature. In the state legislature, he summons and prorogues the sessions. Like the president, he summons and prorogues the sessions of the legislature. Okay? Next number, he addresses the state legislature at the commencement of Vidhan Sabha, at the commencement of SLA, State Legislative Assembly, after general election, and at the beginning of the first session of a year. First session of a year. Okay, so kindly take these things. So it is 175, 176 of the Constitution. 176 of the Constitution deals with these provisions. 176 of the Constitution. Okay, special address by the governor. And 175 175 of the Constitution deals with these powers. Address, special address 175. He addresses the state legislature twice, at the beginning of the Vidhan Sabha and also at the beginning of the first session of the legislature. Okay, that is 175, 176, 176. Yes, 176. Next legislative powers. He may dissolve the Vidhan Sabha either on completion of the term, or if he is advised by the Chief Minister to dissolve, then he can do that. So there may be a premature dissolution or a regular dissolution of the House. He may dissolve it. He may dissolve the he may dissolve it. But remember, Vidhan Parishad, like the Rajya Sabha, is not subject to dissolution. So governor can dissolve only the Vidhan Sabha. Next point. He may appoint any member of the state legislative assembly to preside over the House in case there is a vacancy in the office of the Speaker, and Deputy Speaker. He may nominate one member from Anglo-Indian community to Vidhan Sabha and that is provided under Article 333. Kindly take a note of this. Okay, but this provision of nomination of Anglo-Indian members to Vidhan Sabha has been repealed by 104 Constitutional Amendment Act 2020 and it is no more there. It is no more there, but it was a power of the governor to nominate, like the president had to nominate 2 members to Lok Sabha. He may nominate one by 6 members to SLC. SLC means State Legislative Council. Nominate 1/6 members SLC from the fields of arts, science, literature, social service, and cooperative movement. So आप याद रखिए, but try to remember that the governor has also a power of nomination, like the president has a power of nomination to Rajya Sabha. So governor has also a power to nominate 1/6 member to Vidhan Parishad. And there are certain fields also like art, science, literature, social service. But apart from that, there is also another subject area added, that is cooperative movement. Any person having strong or salutary contribution towards the cooperative movement, they will be nominated by the governor to the SLC, State Legislative Council. Okay? So now we shall come to the veto power or the legislative power जो important provisions रही. Okay. Next is he decides the question of disqualifications of members of state legislature on the opinion of Election Commission of India. So he decides the disqualification on the basis of Election Commission of India. He decides that. That is also a unique power of the governor. Next, he has the following options when a bill okay. So what are the options available to them? What are the options available with the governor when he is presented with the bill passed by the state legislature? That is also we can call okay. So we shall see the options. So Article 200 deals with the power of assent. Number one, he or she may give assent, then the bill becomes an act, the bill becomes an act, becomes an act. Number two, he or she may withhold assent to the bill. And what is this power is called? Absolute veto. Number three, return the bill for the reconsideration of the House of the state legislature. Option 4, he or she may reserve, may reserve the bill for the consideration of the President. So, a clear look at the four major points, options that are left with the governor. Okay, so we have seen that four options are there. One is that he may give his assent, and in that case the bill becomes an act. He may withhold his assent, means he may reject the assent, reject the bill, and in that case the bill is rejected completely. There is no option. He may return the bill for the reconsideration of the President. Okay, but if the bill is passed again by the state legislature with or without without amendment, if upon return of the bill to the state legislature, because why governor returns the bill? Governor will return the bill if there are some mistakes in it, or if he thinks that the bill is not appropriate one, or he thinks that some provisions need to be altered or amended or added or abolished. Then he may send the bill again to the state legislature for reconsideration, because the state legislature has passed the bill. But if the chief state legislature finds or sends the bill again to the governor with or without amendment, then the governor has to give his assent. He is bound to give his assent, although this provision is directly, explicitly mentioned for the president after 44th Amendment Act 1978, but it is implicitly applicable to the case of governor. And number 4 and most important is that the governor has a power to reserve a bill for the enforcement of, for the any consideration of the president if the bill are of federal in character. Mostly if the bills are related to or are intended to hamper the powers and jurisdiction of the High Court or the territorial jurisdiction of the High Court or any other things like that. If such legislation, such bills intend to hamper the independence of the High Court or in the territorial jurisdiction of the High Court, then the bill must be reserved for the consideration of the president. In other cases, like if the bill is against the spirit of the Constitution and if the bill is opposed to directive principle of state policy, if it is against the larger interest of the country, if it is of great national importance, and if it deals with compulsory acquisition of property by the state. So what I mean to say, that there are certain grounds on which the governor can reserve a bill. As I told you, in one case the sending and of the bill is compulsory. If those bills hamper the jurisdiction and the scope of High Court or independence of High Court, then the president has to consider it. In other cases also I told you, if the bills passed by the state legislature are contradictory to the Constitution, then it will be sent to the president for his assent. And if the bill is opposed to DPSP, that will also be invite the attention of the president. If it is against the larger interest of the country, if it is of grave national importance, if it deals with compulsory acquisition of property under article of the Constitution. Okay, so that is called the assent of the president. The governor reserves a bill for the consideration of the president under article 200. Okay, next legislative point. He or she may issue ordinances on the subjects in which the state legislature has legislative power. She may declare ordinance or issue ordinance when the state legislature is not in session. Kindly take a note of this. So the ordinance making power of the governor is coextensive with the legislative power of the state legislature. The governor can legislate on those subjects in which the state legislature is comfortable or empowered to make legislations. Hence, it is coextensive with the legislature of the state. Another thing, such ordinances have to be approved by the state legislature within 6 weeks from the date of reassembly. Otherwise, such ordinances should lapse. And another thing, ordinance making can be re-promulgated by the governor as per the dictation of the Supreme Court with certain restrictions. Re-promulgation, yes, re-promulgation is intended to bypass the legislative sanction and to avoid the debate and discussion and criticism of the opposition party in the parliament or in the state legislature. So that is not there. So only 6 weeks, and it is to be approved. Six weeks from the date of reassembly. That is called your approval of the ordinance, and an ordinance has the same force of law. Another thing, any act done by the governor before the lapse of the ordinance, if any ordinance issued by the governor is lapsed or not approved by the state legislature, then the acts done by the governor before the lapse of the ordinance shall not be invalidated. It shall also remain into force, and any provision, any law made by the parliament at this time may continue or may be discontinued as decided by the state legislature. Are you getting my point or not? That is the most important part of the things. You have to mention that that is there. Okay, so ordinances are like executive laws, and it has the same force of law, and hence it is called executive law. It has the same force of law. Remember, it has the same force of law. And as I told you, any act done by the governor or the state government before the lapse of the state legislature, before its lapse in the state legislature, then the acts and orders issued by the governor at this time during the lapse, before the lapse, shall not be invalidated. It will remain invalid, remain valid as long as the state legislature does not pass an act to to make it unnecessary or to make it useless. Are you getting my point or not? So that is also a point to remember, that ordinance making power is there. Okay. So we shall discuss more when we come to the critical issues of the Indian polity. We shall discuss more. Okay. So that is the ordinance making power of the President under Article 213. Article 213 deals with the ordinance making power of the government. And the last point of the governor, that legislative power, he or she submits reports of the state Public Service Commission, State Public Service Commission, okay. So the report of the State Public Service Commission and also the State Public Service Commission and the report of the State Election Commission, State Election Commission, and also the report of the Comptroller and Auditor General for the State, Comptroller and Auditor General of the State, General of India report. Okay, so there are various reports are submitted by the governor, and you can see that Comptroller Auditor State, also State Finance Commission, also State Finance Commission. Got it? So these are the various reports that are submitted by the governor to the state legislature for considerations. Usual tradition, usual procedure maintained, or same procedure is adopted at the parliament at the central level also. President tables or submits various reports to the parliament for considerations. It's a kind of executive accountability to the legislature also. So as we know that the same pattern of the parliamentary reform is adopted, everything is followed in accordance with the constitution and also as per the law. So that is also to be pointed, also to be noted here. Okay. So Kuntola Behera, Namaskar. You have listening to the class. Give your comment also. We are not getting adequate attention by civil service aspirants. We are maintaining quality. So you people must give your views, constructive views also in this regard, how to start up, how to pursue such type of courses for aspirants. Okay, it is an initiative by the mega institution Vanik. So please have your constructive views and suggestions how to improve, how to work on. Okay, so this is the last legislative power of the governor. We have discussed a lot about the executive power of the governor and legislative power of the governor. Now we shall come to the financial power of the governor. Number one, no money can be withdrawn. No money can be withdrawn from the consolidated fund of India, consolidated fund of the state, No money can be withdrawn from the consolidated fund of the state without the prior recommendation of the governor. So this is also a very important financial power of the governor. Next, all money bills and also certain kind of financial bills, certain finance bills require prior recommendation of the governor. Okay, kindly take a note of this. Okay, that is a second power. Then third, he sees that the annual financial statement of receipt and expenditure is laid before the state legislature before the onset of financial year. Okay, no demand for grant shall be made without his prior approval. Okay, he makes advance out of the contingency fund of India, out of the contingency fund of India, out of the contingency fund of the state. contingency fund of the state pending the approval of the state legislature. Okay. Then he appoints State Finance Commission every 5 years. He appoints State Finance Commission every 5 years to study, but to recommend, but to review the financial condition of rural local bodies and urban local bodies. Kindly take a note of this financial power. Okay, is everything legible, readable also? What is being written on the board? If it is legible, okay. So these are the financial power of the governor. Now shall come to the judicial power. Judicial powers of the governor. In case of judicial powers, you will see that he has certain powers not bigger than the president in fact. However, he appoints. First, we can route. He makes appointment, posting, promotion of district judges, and others. And by in consultation with on the opinion of the things others on the opinion of the you can see the High Court. Makes the appointment, posting and judges of the district courts. He is consulted by the President in the appointment of High Court judges and Chief Justice, he can grant pardons, commutation, remission, respite, and reprieve the sentence of persons. Okay, any matter related to the state. Reprieve any person who is sentenced under state laws. State laws. That is also a power. Okay. So these are the judicial powers. Kindly take a note of this. So there is a lot of big difference between the presidential pardoning power and the governor's pardoning power. First of all, president can grant pardon, commutation, all these things on any law, sentence by the courts or tribunals, including military tribunals also. But governor's pardoning power is somewhat narrower or restricted. He cannot grant pardon on death sentence first of all, and he cannot grant all these things against the judgment of the martial courts. So the pardoning power of the governor is somewhat limited in comparison to the president. Okay, but he has under this power, under Article 161. Under Article 161, governor has the pardoning power. Okay. And also that apart from that powers like executive power, legislative power, judicial powers and financial powers, we can say that these are also outstanding powers of the governors, like ordinance making power, like judicial power, and pardoning power and veto power. Veto power, governor's veto power is wider than that of the president, you can say. He can reserve a bill for the consideration of the president. He can do so with the consideration of the president, and he has a lot of options. And but in case of president, there is no such option to reserve. So veto power is quite extensive also. Okay. So these are the powers of the governor, and such powers are exercised by him with the aid and advice of the council of minister. And 163, Article 163 substantiates this fact that governor shall exercise his powers only on the aid and advice of the council of minister headed by the chief minister. But as I told you, there are a lot of powers exercised by him on his own, that is called the discretionary power of the governor. So last we shall discuss the discretionary power. Okay. So such powers are exercised by the governor on his own, that is, without the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. Headed by the CM. So he has a lot of discretion, and such powers are exercised by him without the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers headed by the Chief Minister. There are constitutional discretions and there are situational discretion. Constitutional discretion are many, like a report for the imposition of President's rule under Article 356, for the imposition of state emergency by President's rule. So that is a discretionary power of the governor. Article 356, it is a constitutional discretion. Number 2, a reservation of a bill. Reservation of a bill for President. That is Article 200. Reservation of bill for the consideration of the President. And also administration of union territories, like 239, or administration of union territories also. Number 3, governor has discretion. Administration of union territories, if the governor is in charge. Administration of union territories, if the governor is in charge of the administration of union territories, he will have to administer on his own, not to be consulted by the, not to consult the Council of Ministers or the Chief Ministers. Number 4 also, with regards to scheduled areas in the state, 244, scheduled areas, administration of scheduled areas under the state. So you can see there are a lot of discretion given to the governor. These are called constitutional discretion because they are mentioned in the constitution. Apart from that, governor has also, like the president, has some situational discretion. Like in case the sitting president, sitting chief minister dies suddenly or resigns suddenly, and you can see that if the chief minister resigns suddenly or dies suddenly, then the governor can nominate or can ask the opposition leaders or consult the other leaders of the legislature to form a government so as to avoid elections, frequent elections. That is a kind of things also. Okay. So governor discretionary powers are wider than those of the President of India, and hence gubernatorial office holds great significance despite certain loopholes in the system, certain insecurity in the system, and certain constitutional weakness in the system. There are a lot of things the governor can exercise and can be a despot also in the state administration. Okay, you can see a lot of things. You must have been reading also. A lot of issues are coming up in the name of the governor. Some governors are working partisan politics. Some governors are showing open loyalty to the center. And today the constitutional norm, sanctity of the office is somewhat demeaned or somewhat you can see somewhat derogated by the manner of working of certain governors in recent times, and sometimes they overtly bypass the authority of the state government and show undue loyalty to the center, and also some governors are also have gone to the extent of praising the central or political party ruling at the center openly. So that kind of gubernatorial, that kind of manners, that kind of attitude is not constitutionally expected of a person who holds the constitutional office at the state level. But I think the very fault or this type of developments have their origin in the very provisions, in the constitutional provisions for the appointment and removal and also the security of tenure of the governor. Had the governor been provided with a security of tenure or with another way of having the center, not any power of the center in that case, then it would have been a different governor and it would have been a different gubernatorial office also. So the very fault of this misuse of this gubernatorial office, governor's office, lies at the root cause, lies at the constitution, at somewhere in the constitution. Okay, so there are certain changes must be needed to strengthen the constitutional position of the governor and to make him a real constitutional head of the state. But the time will see how far we are renovating the gubernatorial office. But still, there has been no measure taken after independence, after the commencement of the constitution, no measure has been taken to strengthen this office or to bridge the gaps or plug the loopholes in the gubernatorial office. Okay, and although the constitution expects him to be neutral or to be an impartial head, but it has not been, and the behavior or the manner of style of working of the recent governors show that the office has gone down to a abysmally low level of function, low level of function in various states. So that is to be decided, or that is to be settled down by constitutional amendments and by debate and deliberation by constitutional experts. Okay, so we shall be back with the new things about governor and the chief ministers. We shall pursue with chief ministers and also the issue of issues related to governor's office and the CM. All right. So let me bid you a goodbye and have your dream fulfilled. We shall back in the next class with the next part of the chapter. Okay. So Have a good day, please.